Indiana's Big Ten tournament dream is dead. Uh, After a win against Northwestern in the second round, we just watched them lose to Maryland in the Big Ten tournament third round, which sends them home from Chicago and kind of leaves them in this awkward waiting game period where they're trying to see if they're going to be in the NCAA tournament, so be in the NIT, where they're going to go. They will find that out on Sunday, but before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's talk a little bit about this game and what we just saw.
We saw Indiana. It didn't play poor defense today. It really kept up with Maryland on the defensive end throughout the day. Maryland is a team that is going to play fast against Indiana. It's a good matchup for Indiana because they're one of the few teams that will try to keep up with Indiana's crazy pace, which doesn't always work. It did just enough today. Some disappointing performances from guys like James Blackman Jr. with 6 points on 2 of 12 shooting. Rob Johnson, 10 points, was on 3 of 11 shooting. Just too little, too late. It was everything that was really going right offensively yesterday, yesterday. Wasn't going right for him today. Just not enough shots. And the most frustrating thing for all these players, when you ask them about it, they all say, "Well, it's the rhythm." Well, what about it? Well, we just couldn't get into rhythm. Well, could you do anything different? No, we literally did everything the same. The shots just weren't falling. It's gotta be frustrating when you feel it. And guys like James Blackman Jr. He's so down on himself. He's like, yeah, I just couldn't do anything. I know it was kind of me. I know it was kind of my fault, but I couldn't do anything. I tried everything. And that's just kind of where they finished.
Yeah, I talked to Stanford Robinson after the game. You mentioned the pressure in the defense, and I asked him, why didn't the pressure work in this game? And he said, I don't know. It was a thing that they tried to implement again. They saw how well it worked against Northwestern, and they saw how well it worked against Northwestern the first time they played for that little 10-minute comeback at the end. And they tried to do it again, and he said it just didn't work, and he didn't really have any explanation as to why. Um, but when defense isn't working for IU, really nothing is working because they get a lot of their points off of fast break stops, off of forcing bad shots and long rebounds, and then running out in transition and working their little, 8 seconds or less offensive magic outside of that.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Their defense turns into their offense, and yeah, they have some offense sometimes where they work the ball around and hit threes, and sometimes Yogi drives the bucket and gets a layup. But this team is best when they are running the ball and pushing as fast as they can. And I mean, Sam, you hit the nail on the head with that. Maryland is a team that will allow IU to do that, and that's why this matchup is always so exciting when they play each other. And it's the third time they've played, and in the first game it was a bit of a blowout, but that's because IU hit every three-pointer they took. But in the other two games, it was just really exciting games, and I mean, I wish we could watch these teams play again, but I doubt that'll happen, even if IU gets into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, they match up really well with each other, and it's just fun to watch. I really enjoy watching Yogi Ferrell and Melo Trimble go back and forth on each other. That's really interesting. They don't always guard each other for the entirety of the game, but when they do, it's pretty fun to watch.
One other thing that, I mean, Sam, you mentioned that James Blackman Jr. really struggled today, and he struggled the last time they met too. In the last two games against Maryland, he's 4 of 24 shooting against, and that's just really not good when you're, I mean, I think Yogi Ferrell is the best scorer on the team, but James Blackman Jr. is definitely the second best. When your second best scorer isn't able to do what he does, you're in a world of hurt against that team that's shutting down.
Yeah. So Selection Sunday is obviously Sunday. I don't know exactly what time it's at 7?
Starts at 7, and NIT is at 8:30.
Or it's 7 o'clock. IU is kind of on the bubble with everything that's going on. They're probably in the tournament, but you can never be sure. The NCAA selection committee. They like to do weird things, and they do kind of unexpected things because nobody knows how they work. But we were in the locker room and we were talking to some players, and nobody said that they were worried about it, which was interesting to me. Everybody who I talked to at least said, Stanford Robinson and Colin Harmon and James Blackman, they were all like, if we make the tournament, that's awesome. But all I want to do is play basketball next week, and even if they miss the NCAA tournament, they're in the NIT. And if they're in the NIT, they probably play more basketball because they probably become the odds-on favorite to win that tournament. Because they're too good to play in the NIT, but they're probably not good enough to play in the NCAA tournament.
Well, I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I think that this team is good enough to play in the NCAA tournament, but they don't always play to that potential. Like, I think the last 2 days we've seen an IU team that is definitely good enough to and maybe even upset some people in the NCAA tournament. I mean, Maryland is no joke, and they lost in the final minute of that game. But I don't think they always play to that potential. And I think even if Connor Mascaro-Perea is out, I think the selection committee takes that into consideration. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with them.
Yeah, we will see what happens on Sunday night. If it's the NIT, then that game will be on Tuesday, and it'll be in Bloomington.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday, and it'll be in Bloomington. If it's the NCAA tournament, then it'll be sometime later, and obviously will not be in Bloomington. But we will be there regardless of where or when it is.
Well, it could be Tuesday in Dayton if they just squeak in Tuesday or
It
Wednesday.
could be in the first four in Dayton if they don't make the 64. They can make the extra 4 teams that play that weird playing game.
But they're not playing games.
But they are playing games now.
No, it's next year, I thought.
Maybe it is.
I think it starts next year where they're back to playing games. Anyways.
Yeah, we will be.
We'll be
Sorry
there.
about that, yeah.
We'll be there. That's it. Leave our stuff on the website because we are not printing papers next week because IU is on spring break. So IDSnews.com. See you next week.